Hello and welcome back to another episode of Remotely Speaking Up. As you know, we are in our third block where we are looking at enabling individuals to work better remotely. So this week we are joined by the amazing Julia Bauer. I can't say enough about her. And in terms of what Julia does, she is a talent management expert, and she is here to tell us more about how persons can position themselves better online to really gain those remote working opportunities across the globe that they're looking for. I can't say enough nice things about Julia. Julia is just a wonderful person to be around, and her expertise spans a 15-year reach. So she's very talented in all areas of HR and leadership as well. So Julia, I'll turn over to you to tell us a bit more about what you do in your background.
Thank you so much, Rochelle. Thanks for inviting me to come to your podcast. It's a great honor and a pleasure to be here today and talk to you a little bit about what it really takes to show up online in a way that you build rapport with the other person in the room, in the virtual room, and to present yourself in a very authentic way when you are online, to develop yourself further and to get the job, the online job that you really want.
Brilliant.
So a little bit about my background. As you said, my background is talent management, HR. I've been working in the corporate world within HR and talent management, different roles for probably over 15 years now. And I have, I've taken the leap from being in the corporate world to do my own business about a year ago, where I have seen the benefits of what new work can bring to everyone, because new work has already started, but I've realized that a lot of people are not ready for new work yet. So it's managing yourself, managing your talents, showing up to be really authentic. So this is basically what I'm doing. So I'm helping people to be more authentic, developing the skill set and the mindset to show up more authentic, developing leaders to lead teams in a very present and agile way, and help people to be resilient as well, because a lot of changes can be stressful at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really is such a mindset shift. If you really think about how we grew up, I know for my example, growing up and thinking about the world of work, you were always told that you need to present this very, let's say, formal front, this very uniformed front. And now you're in a world where you're being asked to show up, as you said, to be a real selves. People really value that authenticity rather than you trying to present what you think it means to be a business person or a professional. So I think that's a really important area. And you mentioned resilience as well. So what made you really concentrate on this particular focus?
I think it comes from my background being in HR and knowing the difference it makes when you can be authentic and can be yourself at work and really know about your talents, your values, and what you can bring to work and play to your strengths. So I have seen hundreds of thousands maybe of people in interviews when I was interviewing, where I could see the difference of someone who really knows what they want and who's been authentic and conscious about what they are capable of doing and what they're not, maybe not as capable of doing, but what they are, what they can develop. So I've seen that difference and what difference it makes if you really play to your strength and if you can bring your potential to work at work, no matter if it's in person or if it's virtual. And this has really driven me to go down this route and help people to show their real selves in our now very connected virtual world, and to get the jobs that they want, to help leaders as well to develop their teams in a way that they can really bring and show their potential, because I think that just makes the massive difference.
Yeah. So what do you think are some of the main struggles for people and businesses when they try to present themselves authentically? Because I know that's quite different in the digital space, where you're not in the physical space. I guess you're limited in terms of the amount of people that surround you, the amounts of businesses that you're surrounded by. But in the digital space, you're trying to appeal to people across the globe and in different countries. So what do you see as some of the challenges that people face when they try to stand out and present themselves in that area?
I think there's different challenges, just as you said. It can be the intercultural context. If you want to present yourself in front of an international audience, or you might be working within your cultural background, but you still work online. So there are different rules that apply to it. And the first thing I always ask is what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about working online, or working or presenting yourself online? And the first thing that comes to your mind is usually the thing that you might want to work on as well. So if the first thing that comes to your mind is being confident in front of the camera, maybe this is what you want to work on then. And I found there's often a mixture between a mindset gap and a skills gap. So whatever weighs more, maybe it's the mindset gap, maybe it's showing up online. I can't show up online, I need to be in the same room with the person. If that's something that you keep telling yourself, this will show up when you're in front of camera, because you're going to speak to a screen. You're not going to speak to the person that is behind the screen. And that's just what makes all the difference, is building rapport and having the mindset that you can build relationships, and that you can be just as authentic as you can be in the room, and as powerful when you are online. Or it might be a skills gap, because if it's a skills gap, you might not be used to using all the technology. There might be a new technology that you've been invited to come to an interview to, and you need to get used to it first. And this is quite exciting. And you can call it fear, but it can be exciting as well. And it's the way you look at, I think it's the way you look at technology, it's the way you look at showing up, it's the way you prepare yourself for these kind of interviews. And I have heard from many people that I've worked with as well, where they're not sure if online has the same impact as offline or in person. And just think about that, what impact it would have if online had the same impact as offline, and how you would prepare for online, and how you would want to show up. And maybe it's the clothes as well that you're wearing, is the way that you present yourself as if you were in the room.
You make such good points, because I have been in conversations where persons, they question that. How do you actually present yourself in a way that would allow you to make the same impact as you would in the room? Because in a room, you can read the body language, you can get a sense of the people in the room. It's easier to make a joke or a comment here, where online you feel a bit, I don't know, boxed in, for a lack of a better term. But I was giving someone an example of being to certain online events. So for example, onto the context of business, I've been to a music concert during the lockdown, when UK was in lockdown. That was the best concert I've ever been to at all, period. And these guys, these two musicians, they were doing this and entertaining and talking to the crowd from a room, just not even a stage, but a room. And it was so much more impactful than anything else I've ever been to. So you're right. It's really developing the skill in how to actually make that impact, but it is possible to have that in the digital space as well.
It is absolutely possible. And as you say, it's you're not in a box, you're not in the screen. You can use the entire screen. You can use your body language, you can use your hands, you can use your head, your facial expressions. And this will all impact on how you really build rapport, how you build that connection with the person that is on the other side of the screen.
And you're right, you mentioned video earlier as well. I know there are a lot of people that are very confident in person, but are very hesitant to get in front of a video. So often when we talk about selling yourself online, this is one of the biggest deterrents, the fact that you have to actually promote yourself and be present. So what would you say to persons like that? How can they, you mentioned some of the skills that are needed. How can they start to really develop those skills or work on that online presence?
It's with everything that you start from scratch. It's practicing, it's doing it, it's showing up, it's using the opportunities where you are able to show up. And maybe if you prepare for a job interview, maybe you want to practice something with someone that you trust, that you know already, and you're going to do trial versions of your interview, you're going to test the camera, so that the basic steps, that the technology is working, that your Wi-Fi is strong enough, that you sit comfortably. So get everything ready so that you can then really concentrate on what you want to present and how you want to present yourself. And it's the practicing, it's getting familiar with with the equipment, it's getting familiar with the technology, and it's getting familiar and being online.
Yeah.
I have worked with a couple of people who wanted to prepare for example, for job interviews. And what we basically did is we recorded test sessions. So
helpful.
Just have a look at what you like about yourself and what you don't like about yourself, what you would like to improve online, and how you want to show up.
Know your good side, know your bad side.
Yeah, know your good side, know your bad side, know how you sit. See your facial expressions. If you feel confident, how does that look? What does that look like? If you internally feel a little bit excited, is that showing on your face? How could you use that in the interview in a positive way to really be authentic? And it is okay to be excited if you are online.
Yeah.
And it is okay to make that connection with the person that is behind the screen.
To show your real face. Yeah, to show your real face, to go collect that Amazon package when the guy interrupts. You know, just be yourself. We're all human. What about the communication aspect of it? Because, you know, there are a lot of, when you're working online, one of the things that's really important to a lot of people is creating content. And people want to be able to create content that's impactful and that really appeals to the client. Yeah. So what would you recommend in that area as well?
When you create content for example, social media platforms, this is building up your personal brand. It's all about people need to know you first, and they need to like you, and they need to trust you. So it's being authentic with the content that you're creating. Know your outcome. Know what you want to achieve with what you're posting. Know what the pain points of your target group are. If you're working with companies, or if you want to target individuals, but know their pain points and create content so that it is valuable for them and that they can see your true you in the post as well. So don't just copy and paste information that you found somewhere, but bring your really personal touch to it, and show what has worked well for you, and maybe raise questions around what you have experienced, and ask for experiences of others, to really create that profile that makes you you.
Yeah, I like that. And it's amazing that it's such a struggle, but I get it at the same time, because I think sometimes people are afraid to show up as their real selves because they worry about rejection. They worry about if persons will accept who they are. So a big part of it does come with that confidence. And I've heard a lot of people say that, let's say, the online world, or presenting yourself online, or blogging or whatnot, or vlogging, is suitable for certain personality types. But this is something that's been challenged over the years. Even myself, I see myself as an introvert, but for business purposes, you know, and I'm learning, and even through studying, I've learned to really to put myself out there and to reach out to people. So what do you think about that aspect, or that belief that this type of showing up online and powerful impact, that only certain personality types can do that effectively?
Personally, I don't believe that's true, and I think you are a great example for that, Michelle, because if you see yourself as an introvert, which naturally you wouldn't expect an introvert to show up online and to show their personality online and their thoughts online, because once you show up online, you will get response and feedback, and this is basically what the whole communication is about when you are online. And I don't think that personality types are more suited to be online or less suited to be online. It is the practicing. It is finding the balance that is right for you, talking to the audience that you might be an introvert, but your clients might be introverts, so they really like the style and the way you're communicating. So make sure that the communication you put out suits the client, and is about the client, and is about what your audience is interested in, to be part of their solution.
Yeah, it also reminds me, when you say that in terms of appealing to the type of client, it also reminds me of agile leadership. Whereas, let's say you have a particular set of clients or a particular group to present to or to lead, let's say a particular team, how you adjust your leadership style to suit, let's say, the personalities or the makeup of the team. So it sounds very similar.
It is absolutely similar, where you and it's the listening skills. It's really listening and understanding what your audience, or if you're in a conversation with your team, what your team needs. So it's the active listening part. It's taking in what the other person is sending out, and reacting to it. And I think this is key to being authentic and being yourself, and showing real interest in what your audience, what your team, what your colleagues, what your peers, what they need and what they want.
Yeah. And a big part of that as well is emotional intelligence, actually being able to read a room, or to understand how, as you said, how the persons in your team are feeling.
Yeah.
And I imagine that is more of a struggle to do online, where, as you said, like, we present ourselves to people, but we don't know all the other stuff that's going on in the background, and we don't have that physical interaction sometimes to know what might be some additional reactions. So what would you suggest in that area in terms of, I don't know, developing emotional intelligence for working on, when you're working online and in those online teams?
I think when you work on online, it's how you show up can be a mirror how others going to show up. So if you are a leading example, where you show up, where you are authentic, where you are clear on your message, where you know your outcomes. So this is often, I think this is often the case when you start working with someone. Know your outcome before you go in a conversation, or before you go in a meeting. Know what you want to get out of the meeting, and then be open to and flexible to the way to how to get there. But in terms of showing up and being really authentic and present, be calm. And I think before you go in a meeting, clear your mind, be present. And only if it's maybe if it's just 30 seconds or a minute before you go in the meeting, but take that time as if you were in person, or if you would walk into a meeting room. Take that time to get into the meeting, maybe take a couple of deep breaths and be really present, be there. Clean your desks. I'm a big believer in put the stuff out that needs to be out in order to make an impact in the meeting. Come prepared to the meeting, so that you're not distracted by these kind of topics like, where's the paperwork, where's my pen, where was that invite. So have the stuff ready that needs to be ready in order for you to really be present and be there. And something else that I have seen in a lot of meetings is, especially online, when we are talking face to face, we would sit in front of each other, or maybe next to each other, but we would be on a level where we speak like face to face, and we would be able to look at each other in the eye. If my camera would be down here somewhere, I would be looking at you like this. This wouldn't be looking into your eyes, or if you have a second screen and your camera is on the side. I'm talking to you like this. That doesn't build up the rapport. So make sure that if you are on camera, so that your camera is more or less on the height of your face, and of your eyes. So, and if you want to say some hello, and if you want to say something that is really, that you want to make an impact, or you want to make a statement, look at the camera. So really focus the camera, speak to the camera, because this is where your audience is. This is where they are. And another powerful tip that I have used at the beginning, because you might get distracted by your own video, looking at what am I going to look like? Is that okay? Especially when you get more excited. Are you adjusting your camera now? I always have post-it notes on hand. So whenever I feel like I do get distracted by my own video, I just put a little post-it note on top of my video. So not on camera, but on top of my video, so I'm not distracted by my own video, so I can really concentrate on the other person. I can really concentrate on I can really focus and make the connection with the other person.
Wow, I like that. Wow. That's new. I've never heard of that before. Like putting a
Yeah.
note to block. That's really smart.
Yeah, especially when you've not worked a lot online and you're not really used to it, or it's an important meeting, so you keep on checking in on what's going on my camera. Is everything okay? Is my background okay?
Yeah, I'm very
So
guilty.
to kind of get your head back and really concentrate and focus on the topic and on the other person, and on your audience, but posting it on your own video.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. So what would you say as well to, let's say you're in a team and you're trying to develop those skills in your team. So you're a powerful person online and you want to start to cultivate those skills also with the people that you're working with, whether you're, let's say you might be an independent contractor or consultant working with other consultants across the globe on a project. How do you get them also? How do you spread that impactful presence or get them also to show up authentic?
You can always have a check-in. Like if you're working in a team with others, you can have meetings and you do a quick check-in afterwards. Like, how do I see you online? What is it that I experience when you speak to me online? What are the little things that can be improved? And to really use the knowledge of the group, of the team, to improve as a team. And I think especially when you're leading a team online, the way you show up, the way you present yourself in front of the camera, the way you are not distracted by emails that are coming in, the phone that is ringing. So someone maybe walking into the door if you're working at home. So setting this up for your own success will also mean you're setting it up for your success for the team. And you can use the team to give feedback, and you can use the team to improve as a team on the topic.
Yeah. Oh, that's really powerful. And I think the more people learn to do that, I think they'll really start to see the response in the way that people reach out to them. Another thing as well I've heard said several times before, and I do myself now, is when you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, because I know a lot of people use LinkedIn now as a business platform to build their online presence. But a lot of persons now, a lot of persons have said, if you're going to reach out to somebody, don't just add a contact, send a message, send a personal message, say, why are you reaching out to this person? And in the same way that you do that on LinkedIn, you can also do that with reaching out to clients online. One good recommendation I've heard a colleague of mine make is you can send a personal greeting. So as opposed to sending an email, you can send a video greeting saying, hi, how are you? This is what I do. This is who I am. So there are a lot of ways now that really encourage us to think about how we can be more personal, though we're working from behind the screen. Yeah,
absolutely. And what I use, for example, and I looked at the video, sending short videos. What I use with LinkedIn, and a lot of people might not know this, but you can send voice messages over LinkedIn. Which is great, and which is a great way to connect with people. Which is a great way if it's someone's birthday. Instead of just typing happy birthday, or maybe using that pre-typed happy birthday that LinkedIn offers you, you can also have a very individualized, personal happy birthday message that you can send to the other person. Which makes you more approachable, more present again. And I think using the technology to our advantage and really connecting how we would connect if we would be sitting together in the same room. How would you connect to that person? How would you approach that person? And just transport that into an online setting. And play around, try and test it. I think there's no right and wrong. It needs to be your way of connecting.
Absolutely. And it's amazing the generational shifts, because I remember, and I mean, we're really in that period where you get to see how things have changed, because the rate of change is so quick compared to the past. And I remember growing up, as we said before, being told to be very formal, being told to write this way a business letter, make sure it's not personal. Also things like, even a few years ago, things like emojis. You were told never to put an emoji in an email. Don't ever do that if you're doing business. And now we're actively encouraged to use these things. So it's really interesting, the shift. So what would you what do you see as some of the main pitfalls that people make, or the main mistakes that are made by people when they're trying to present themselves online?
I think there's three main pitfalls as far as I've seen them. I guess the biggest one is to underestimate the power of being online.
Yeah.
So it's assuming that it hasn't got the same power, it hasn't got the same impact. You don't need to come prepared. You can, whatever you're wearing, whatever the background, however the sound, the microphone is, this is all not impacting, because it's not the same, it hasn't got the same value or the same standard as you would be in the room. And I think this is one of the biggest pitfalls, because this will prevent you from really showing up and being yourself, and taking it really not serious, but taking it in a way that you can have that impact, that you can present yourself, that you can present your topics, and that you can develop a relationship online that is just as strong as a relationship that you would be able to develop offline. And I think this is one of the biggest pitfalls. The second one is to not know your IT, to not know technology.
Yeah.
To maybe only use one platform, or maybe only use Zoom, but not be able to use and to play around with the other platforms. So to be more flexible online is knowing a couple of platforms that you feel comfortable playing with and feel comfortable presenting yourself online. So whenever you get an invite on a different platform, this is not like making you into a rush of preparing, but you can be calm, you can be confident in using the platforms and playing with them. Yeah. And probably the third pitfall is when you look at timeframes, like if you would have a meeting online with someone, you would calculate roughly a time frame for that meeting, wouldn't you? You would know this. We're gonna check in for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Not having time before and afterwards of that meeting to really come prepared and to be calm. And this, I think it's great working from home or working from remotely from anywhere, because you can organize yourself, and you've got your diary in your head. But it's this act of getting up and walking somewhere to meet someone. You don't have that. And this is the time where we focus, where we concentrate. So I think one of the bigger pitfalls when you go into online meetings is to really give yourself the time to come prepared, to come focus, and then after the meeting as well, to check in. What have you just learned? How could you improve your presence online as well? And what do you want to take away for the next meeting?
Yeah, that's really true, especially that last point, because I am very guilty of that last one, where I book 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1. And then you feel overwhelmed, you feel rushed from one meeting to the next. And often you end up slipping into other meetings. So you're meeting from 10 to 11. If it goes a minute past 11, you're late for the other one. You're unprepared, you're unsettled, and you're frantic. So you can't.
And it shows.
Yeah. You can't really be your best self when you're like that.
And it shows, and being your best self is really being present, being there, being in that meeting with this person, or if you show up online, if you create posts, really creating them for the person, for your audience, for the person you have the meeting with. And this means being there, being online, being present.
Yeah, I really liked what you said earlier as well about being calm. Before the meeting, just having a little bit of space to breathe and to be calm and to reflect on what you want to say and do. And often we don't do that, especially online, where I know, for example, because, I lecture as well, sometimes a lot of the issues we have with students is that they're on their phones while on the lecture. But it's not just students, it's other people as well. Persons are on their phones, they're playing with other devices. So you're not really getting their full selves. And I don't think they're aware sometimes of just how much that shows within the online context.
Absolutely. And I mean, even the clothes that you were wearing, you might think it's not important if you're just on the phone, but it makes a difference to how you show up. So if you have an online interview, and even if it's without camera, maybe put on the clothes and get yourself ready as if you would go to an interview. And the same I say to managers as well, because I train managers to deliver like really professional interviews as well online. For them it's exciting as well, and for them it's new as well, and it can be scary at times as well to be online. But it's the practicing, and it's getting yourself ready and knowing your outcome, knowing what you want to achieve, to be able to present yourself at your best, and really show up in a very authentic way.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of when a lot of countries went into lockdown and people were struggling to make the adjustment with remote work. One of the things that they said they were struggling with is routine, and you work from your pajamas and this sort of thing. But that really does have an impact in terms of
how you. And if you wear your PJ trousers and you have a shirt on top, it feels really relaxed. And it is really relaxing. Is it suitable? Is it helpful for the conversation you're having? If yes, leave it as it is. But if you feel it would slightly make an impact on your personal presence and the way you show up, and how serious maybe you take some of the conversations and the meetings you are having, then change it. If it doesn't have an impact, leave it as it is. But I think looking at the whole picture is important.
I tell my friends, and they always laugh at me when I said at the beginning of lockdown, I would schedule my showers because I got into the habit of lockdown. It's like, okay, I don't have to shower till after 9. I'm at home. I don't have to commute. But then I realized I shower at 9. Then I start my day at 10:30, 11, and then your day quickly goes. Whereas if I started scheduling my shower for 6:30. So then it wakes me up. I'm in that mood. I'm ready, and my day is set from there. So simple things like that can make such a difference.
It's the simple things, and it's as simple as maybe printing out what your agenda for the next day. Just have it, maybe print it out, have it somewhere. But this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. Maybe I want to be especially in that mindset for this meeting. I might need to have 5 minutes in advance. So I'm just going to scribble it in and make sure I'm going to get these 5 minutes to really be present, or maybe just go for a quick walk, or take some fresh air and take some breath in. I always have at 12 a.m. I always have my PM. I always have my fresh air reminder. It's just opening the window, taking a couple of deep breaths, and really move a little bit around and have those 5 minutes to myself before the next meeting starts. And it just gives me the headspace. It gives me the ability to really be present and be there. And especially when you work as a coach, you have to be present and take it all in with all the senses that are there. It's just a smell that we can't do online. It's got all the other senses.
Give it a few years, they'll find a way that
they will. But taking it all in with all the senses, and be there and experience the other person, and show yourself the way you are. I think this is key. And if people who are watching this or who are listening to it feel a little bit of fear around this online topic and showing up online, changing the word fear into excitement just makes a major shift. It can really make a major shift, and how you can use technology to your advantage and to really present yourself and show up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Julie. You've given us so much food for thought, and I love how you stress the need to be present. I think that's one of the most important things that you've said, just to be present, because so often, I mean, we live in a world that's consumed by, or we're constantly consumed by distractions. Everything's pulling our attention. So just to be in one space sometimes can be very hard, and that's something that really needs to be developed. It seems quite casual, but it's really something that we need to focus on and be mindful of if we really want to be authentic. So thank you.
And I guess what you said at the beginning, it's not being the old school, this is how we need to be very serious. This is not the online, but it's the being present and being there and really listening into what the other person is saying. And technology can help and support.
That's true.
Maybe one more thing that I didn't say, but is so important because I've seen it so many times, so I don't want to miss out on that. not only your desk, but what's the background like that you're in, what's the lighting like, because you're going to take that in. And if you're in a room where there's no light, or maybe you have a light from the back or the window,
that's true.
You can't really see the other person. So make sure the lighting is good, make sure your technology works for you, so you can really be at your best and show your best.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Julian. You know you can't escape without telling us your funniest travel story. So hit us with it.
I guess my funniest travel story was about 12 years ago when I was traveling in Australia. And I managed to lock myself out of a prison, which is probably just impossible. You
locked yourself out of a prison?
I locked myself out of a prison.
Isn't that?
I wasn't in prison, no. It was a very small town, and for some reason they have integrated a hostel into a former prison. And I found that really exciting. So we would just stay there for a night. But because they had no cafe or they had nothing there, we just went out to have a drink. And by the time we got back, I forgot the keys. So I locked myself out of the prison. And getting back into a prison is probably more difficult than getting out of a prison. It took me hours of really banging at the door, screaming, doing all sorts of things. And I had my phone with me, but because it was a prison, the other person that was still in the room.
This is so incredible. Most people try to break out of it.
Funny.
You're trying to break into it.
So funny. Yeah.
I think you have it the other way around.
You have it the other way around, but it's just changing the perspective and trying to get back into prison. So how can you forget the keys to get back into prison?
Well,
so,
Julia, please stay out of prison, please. We don't want you in prison. Stay away from prisons. Be good.
I will. For sure, I will.
Oh my word. Well, thank you so much. This has been Julia Bauer from Julia Bauer and Partners Consulting. And Julia is a talent management expert and also works with high performance teams and with managers and helping them to really be authentic and show up and give up their best. So thank you, Julia, for talking to us about how to really show up and be present online and to present our authentic selves online, because that makes a major difference when you're trying to get clients, when you're trying to get business. So thank you so much. And thank you again for our listeners. And this has been another episode of Remotely Speaking Up. So see you next time. Thanks, Julia.
Bye. Thank you, Rochelle. Bye.
Bye.